Alrighty. All right, Tuesday, April 14th, one day before tax day, 2026, 709. 709 a.m. EDT. Right. So, with that being said, there's definitely two pictures being painted, for sure. If you were to focus in on mainstream news in general, and you were to look at such things as like Instagram posts, and you would think all hell is breaking loose over in the Middle East. And then, I always wake up every morning and I kind of go through a pretty, I would say, like a regiment of news, right? Because I want to, before I kind of get started in the morning, I kind of want to have a mindset like, oh, what's going on? What's really going on? And it's not just like our news. I look at BBC and I look at and I even look at some of the real weird right-wing stuff and some of the weird left-wing stuff, because it's always good to kind of have an idea of what's going on those sides of the planet. And, overall, if I would have woke up this morning and never looked at the markets, I would have thought that the end of the world was coming. Really, and I mean that. And, and it's funny, in the minute I looked at the markets, I look at usually two things, and I've been doing that forever. And it's not just since I look at crude oil, I look at bonds, and those are the first two things I look at, because those are the two things that generally move the markets. And then I will go through and look at the dollar, and, and usually the equities are the last thing that I look at. Equities and gold, because that's kind of like those things are just kind of an afterthought. And I look there and I'm like, oh, okay, everything's normal. Everything's fine. And the reason why, because look, gold, crude, if everything was all breaking loose, it was breaking loose a week ago. Maybe a little longer. When crude was 120, 130, the trajectory was up. Right? You could legitimately say, yeah, I mean, shit was kind of, it was kind of brewing. Markets were uneasy, but I don't think that's the case, right? So I came in, I looked at crude. Crude's down. Okay, that's good. Equities, somewhat flat, but not down big. Had a nice day yesterday. Nice day in that, what the most important thing about equities yesterday, folks, is the fact that we filled the gaps on all the indexes, right? You had this, right, let's look at the 1 hour. You're looking at those 1 hour chart, and this gap, and let me get my Pareto tool, because I am all about the Pareto tool. I always forget to start this thing. I don't know why. I reboot my machine every night now and every day. I reboot it at night, and then I reboot it again in the morning. Don't ask me why. I need a new machine is really what I need to do. But I made a pact with myself. I am not going to get a new machine until I get my first payout from one of these funded accounts. I've kind of drew that line in the sand. So anyway, you have this big gap here from Sunday night when we opened, when, oh my God, the talks broke down. Ooh, right? Panic. Typical, knee-jerk reaction. And then what happened right after? I mean, look at this. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, and these are 1 hour candles, folks. So these aren't like, we didn't see like, a rip up, a rip down. This was methodical, strong buying. And you just notice, just look back at the other price action just from the previous day, the choppiness. And you can go back even further and then look at the choppiness again. This was good old homegrown buying coming in and coming in hard. And we were able to fill, not only just fill this gap, we just exploded past it. And it's not just the NASDAQ, it's everything. It's the ES. The ES did it. The Russell did it. You get the point? I think the only thing that didn't really explode over the top was the Dow, but even still, it still filled the gap. We did manage to get to Friday's or last week's highs, but we didn't explode through there. But, then again, the Dow has a lot, Dow's only 30 stocks, and it only takes a couple of those not to really do well or as well to kind of hold that thing down. So I don't really look at the Dow, to be honest. I don't. I never really. I have it up on my screens because it's kind of there and it's part of the market. And there are some pretty significant stocks in there that, being part of that index. Problem is it's a weighting thing. It's just overweighted with Apple, Microsoft, and to a lesser extent, NVIDIA. And to me, it just never really gives you a good depiction of what's going on in the market. And so anyway, but so even still, looking outside of that, you have this big movement, and it's a little scary because now, even in La La Land, there's this almost complete 180 in sentiment that it is basically kind of buy the dip again. And I don't really follow that, but I listen to it. I always tell people, hear everything, listen to nobody, right? You want to know all this stuff that's going on, but don't make it change the way you do things. And that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm a little concerned by that, look, one trading day should not change your complete sentiment. I'm always kind of a bull now. And I told you that. Folks have been watching me for a while, about 3, 4, 5, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I have completely changed. I used to be one of these people that was always looking for the next crash and trying to get ahead of it. And it worked to a degree, but the problem is the in-between times were just too annoying for me. And I quickly learned that it's better to just have a bullish sentiment and then be neutral from time to time and be defensive as opposed to being a perma bear. And anyway, but I'm a little concerned about having this just buy the dip mentality right now, especially as we start getting back. I'm going to get rid of all these lines real quick just to clean things up for you folks. As we start getting back to our all-time highs here, 26,344. 26, I think it's actually 26,4 something, right? 26,400, something like that. It's up in here somewhere. It was back in November. I don't know exactly where it was. I mean, it's probably about right there. I'm just going to mark it there. That looks about right. Again, I don't really care about the exact number. I'm more concerned about the region. I mean, we are not far away. We are literally, and what could be one trading day away from taking out all-time highs again on the NASDAQ. And it won't get the fanfare because it's not the Dow, right? The Dow is the one that everyone, all the news agencies just love to plaster on the TV because it's the one I guess most people are familiar with. But I don't even know if that's the case anymore, to be quite candid. I don't really know. I mean, even younger people that I talk to that kind of don't necessarily trade, but they're more interested in the NASDAQ. And because I think they know that the stocks in the NASDAQ are more their speed, right? They're going to be the stocks. The stocks in the NASDAQ are going to be the stocks that they're talking about when they're our age. I'm Gen X, so I'm closing in on 60. So, and, people in their late 20s and 30s and 40s, the stocks in the NASDAQ are going to be the ones that they're going to be the future Apples, even though Apple's in there. But I'm just saying there's stocks in there that will be, and start replacing stuff in the Dow. Trust me, it's going to happen. That's what's happened over the years. There used to never be. There was a time when there was no NASDAQ stocks. I remember back in the day, I don't know why he would say that, but I do remember a time when there was no NASDAQ stocks in the Dow. Now it's littered with them. In fact, all the stocks that are in the NASDAQ are all the big weighted ones. I mean, so sooner or later, in my opinion, the Dow is going to become irrelevant. And I actually think it's pretty irrelevant now. But anyway, nonetheless, so, I mean, here we are now looking at, another day. We're up another 100 points. Crude oil is down. Again, I didn't really look at headlines other than just the fucking garbage trash that gets circulated out there by, there's literally, probably 10 right-wing nut jobs. I don't even know if I would even classify them, but there's like 10 right-wing news outlets and probably 5 or 6 left-wing ones, and then probably another 30 or 40 really wacko, left-wing ones that, that grab all the internet traffic. And then there's the markets. And then the markets are usually always right, folks. So just kind of always use the markets as the gauge of what's going on. Trust me, it's really the only way. So anyway, let's get into some levels. I think the nice thing about what's just happened, though, is I sense some possible normalcy in the market. And what I mean by normalcy is I am going to start looking now at support and resistance. I'm going to start looking at R3s and R2s. You can see overnight a lot of normalcy. We have a lot of you have a lot of resistance up here on the 1 hour, and it was respected overnight. We got up to R2, breached it a little bit, and we sold off. And sold off so much so, we actually sold off down to R1, which turned out to be what? A good buy, right? And we bounced, right? Again, I'm looking at this as possibly a sense, not so much a sentiment change, but maybe we're getting back to normalcy where the headlines, look, it's still going to be headline driven. There's no doubt about it. But where I think the headlines are going to have less and less impact. I mean, again, I'm not trying to discount. Look, it is definitely headlines. There's no question about it. Headline come out right now and just rock everyone's world all over the place. But just the way that, again, it's how the market is reacting, and the market price action is just telling me now it may be time to start considering these levels. Like, I'm not going to go and just like use them now because one day and one jackass on the communist news station said, oh yeah, everything's better now. Well, they're not going to say that anyway. They're going to say everything sucks no matter what. But you get the point. And so if I'm looking for, a possible spots here, I'm going to start taking some of these support and resistance areas. I particularly like R3 up here. R3 is very, very interesting here on gold, right? 48.71. So I'm going to mark it You do have possibility for some slippage because you have these swing highs back here up as high as 48.86. And so when you have a breach of something like that, as I always say, wait for the breach, the touch, whatever. It's an area of engagement. Go to a shorter time frame and wait for the reversal. Wait for some confirmation sign that it is indeed a reversal area, and then take your trade. All right, and then also, I don't think we get there. I think gold is going to continue to be relatively strong today, but you do have to take it under consideration that we reversed yesterday literally right on the pivot for 722. So again, I would do the top. I would mark the top of this range, which is about 47.38, as again a point of engagement that if we start getting down there, it is quite possibly a good solid area for a reversal. Now, as far as R2 is concerned, it's probably not a bad idea to mark that, but I don't know if there's going to be really a lot of weight put on a reversal there, simply because we've already touched up there twice, and another move up into that area would then be 3, and a lot of times 3 times is not a charm. Chances are, if we get back up and start testing this, it's more likely to break out. Where in the hell is it? It's more than likely to break out if we get up here than it is to break down. Just law of averages, right? There's, very rarely do we come up 1, 2, and 3 times, and a 4th. Look, there's times when it does happen, right? Where it completely smacks its head. We don't know why. There's a million people out in La La Land that will tell you, oh, there's buy stops up there, there's blah, 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 right? There's some institutional, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the dark pool is some bullshit. There'll be some bullshit. Why? You know why? Because there just happens to be more sellers than buyers up there. They're just not ready to take it through there. And it could be all of those reasons. It could be buy stops. It could be whatever. It doesn't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. The only people who know is Citadel. They're the only ones who know. Citadel and the insiders. They're the only ones that know. You don't know. And if you're on the internet claiming you don't know either. Because you are full of shit. Right? So that's kind of it. That's kind of works. So anyway, that's the story in gold. I think overall we are in a bit of a, I would claim we are definitely in a buy the dip in gold. I think long trades will definitely be a little easier than short trades. But that is where we are at. Now, if I go to a 5-minute, I'm going to get a little bit different picture here on gold. It's going to show that there is a possible support area down below here at about 47.94. So I am going to mark this, and I'm going to mark up at the top of that range, 47.9750, as a possible point of engagement on the 5-minute. All right, but you can see that the price action here has been really, really sporadic. I mean, look at this 5-minute candle here. We were up as high as this is a huge 5-minute candle, 48.07, and they took this thing all the way down to the bottom here, 477. That's a 5-minute candle, folks. That's insane. That is a massive. Now, what happened there? I have no idea. I don't see any news headline there. But that is the way gold rolls, too. So that's what you also have to be aware of, that you are going to get these massive candles in gold, up or down, right? It's just, that is the way it is. It trades thin. and it acts thin, and it is what it is. That's just how it flies. But that's why it's important to use stops. That's why it's very important to use stops. All right, so that's gold. Kind of beat that up, but that's where my spots are in gold. I'd be a little reluctant to kind of mess around with some shorts in here, but I would have to see something pretty significant. But conversely, I look at these rejections up here, and these rejections up here have been really extreme. And why I know that is I'm looking at a 5-minute. Again, I'll try and focus in on these because I think it's important to look that there is some pretty significant sellers up here, because when we've gotten up here last few times, they didn't just retrace. They freaking sold this sucker off. I mean, these are 5-minute candles right here. 1, 2, 3. 3 big, huge ones. Here's another 2 that are pretty significant. And again, you have this massive one, which I don't know what the F happened there. I mean, that basically probably cleared out every stop anybody had. A run like that. So it is something to be aware of. You can see I already have a couple of alerts set. So if we do get back up there again, it is going to trigger. I'd be interested. It looks like we didn't even quite. Looks like we got up there last time before, after I set this alert, but we didn't quite breach the alert, which is kind of interesting. And see what happens again if we get up there again and there's a big rip down. Again, I don't know how many times right? Because you got that. Like, how many times are you going to breach this, right? There's a lot of these, right? There's 2. Technically, well, why is that there? Ugh. There's this one. And there's this one. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's a 5-minute. 15-minute look a little different, a little tighter. 30-minute look a little tighter. An hourly will look even tighter. But even still, you can see even on the hourly, each one of these, it's like ding, ding, ding. So something's going on up there. Something's going on up there, and I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to claim to know what it is. I can tell you a lot of theories, but like, who gives a shit about a theory? Because the theories are only any good as if yours just happens to be true. So anyway, just something to be aware of on gold, and we are going to go into the NASDAQ. Again, like NASDAQ, it looks very strong. I got this yellow line here, which I'm going to use this, and it's about the 25,472 as kind of like a support, right? Because we weren't able to break there. We tried again, we broke down, and then we had the massive breakdown, and then we got back up in that area, and we weren't able to get back through there until yesterday. And now we're actually through. And so now this needs to become support. Anything can happen. I know it's 200 plus points away, or damn close to it, 100 and something. And there goes gold. Yeah. And there goes gold. I don't know what alert. I must have had that alert set. From. No, wait, I just set that one, I think. Yeah, that was that one. Yeah, I did set that one. Because that was. Yeah, I set that at the top of this range here, this 47.92. So we did just hit that. Let me see if we can get a trade here. I don't know. I think I might give this one a shot. Let's see. It's not a great, I'm going to be honest, it's not a great entry, right? Because again, I'm seeing, you know, lower high, lower high, lower high, another lower high. So I really want to see if it's a true reversal. It does not look good. We'll see if we can get some buyers in here. It does not look, like I said, it does not look, I don't see buyers coming in yet. I mean, this is actually reducing. I'm watching, these are the numbers, they're actually numbers. These are net positive, net negative sellers at this spot in time, and it's kind of a little bit of a fight going on here. So we will see. In the bottom of this area is 47.94. And another big, massive red candle. And they've been coming in twos, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. So they've been coming in twos. And I don't, let's take a look in the news. I don't think there's really any news. Now, Google, Goldman, Franco, EU, NASDAQ, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't really see any news. All right, so we got 3 bars here, but it's on the 100. So that not really a reversal yet. Let's see. Because last 3 times, 1, 2, 3, or actually last 4 times, we got 2 big red candles before the reversal. So that's why I'm not just jumping on this here. What I'd ultimately like to see is, you know, if this pattern is actually proving itself, I'd like to see another red candle followed by a, well, in my case, blue or positive. Then I would like to see, then I would actually say, all right, yeah, I think it might be time to jump in long, because then at least it gives me some confirmation that there's going to be a reversal. Because both of these times, you would have thought there was going to be a reversal and there wasn't, but there eventually was. And so I'm just waiting patiently. So we're going to have to see what happens on that one. Yeah, we'll watch it. I don't care. It's only 7:30. Right. And maybe we'll get back a little bit of our mojo from last night. We did get clipped a couple times last night. Wow. Leave it to the market. leave it to the market to completely show that you're an idiot and you don't know anything. I mean, that is like a huge. We only got 50 seconds left on that bar, and so that was like a complete little reversal there. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I mean, one candle does not make a reversal make, or whatever the hell that is. And we got 20 seconds. I mean, it was good for, if you wanted to kind of scalp it, it was good for a scalp. I still don't see it as confirmation, personally. I always... Because chances are this trade's going to be, all right, so now it's going to paint a new one. And so really it depends on this one. And it looks like it, look at that. You're always making me look like an asshole. I love the markets. They love to make you look like an asshole. So if you did buy it, you made out. You did okay, and you're doing all right now. Like, I would have never seen that as a reversal. You know, and probably there's 100 people on the internet that say, well, oh yeah, it did because, you know, hindsight. Well, look, hindsight told me that there were going to be 2 bars on this kind of reversal. So, and if something happened 4 times, there's a good chance it's going to happen again. So, we'll see. You know, it did something similar up here, though. I mean, after these, it actually did something similar. So we'll see. We'll see. It looks like I fucking blew it, though. You know, I'll admit, I bugged up. If I look at it on the short term, it actually is a perfect reversal right here. On the 100 tick, you do have like a 3-bar reversal here on the 100 tick, but I don't usually use the 100 tick as a 3-bar reversal because it's too short term that a lot of times these don't sustain themselves. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I mean, I do see the market selling off a little bit here. I don't think crude oil is really moving much. It is actually, it looks like it's up a bit. It looks like it's up a tad. But I am seeing the market sell off a little bit. The Nasdaq was up like 160, and it was near 25 690s, and now it's only in the 58. So the market is kind of giving a little bit back here. Let's go check the news. I didn't see any news. Check the news. Iran's ambassador to China. No arms shipments from China was sent to Iran. Which, again, they were saying that before I saw that news, that China did blah, blah, blah. It's like, where are they getting these news sources from? Okay, so get a little bit of reversal here now. Let's see if this turns red. I almost want to go short here. I almost want to go short. I almost want to go short, and I'm kicking myself because it kind of seen it up there, right? When this wicked, that kind of, because it wicked the last time, even though this, I don't know. And I am seeing the market sell off a little bit here. All right, I'm going to go short, I think. I'm going to give the shot short. I'm going to join the ask. I'm going to go short. See if I get filled.
Order filled.
My stop is going to be up here near the top of this. I'm risking 25 bucks. And it looks like I'm going to get out pretty fast. And there goes the bounce. All right. So that was quick.
Order filled.
Beautiful. I still like it short here. I'm going to give it a shot again.
Order filled.
All right. I'm going to give it, I'm going to short my stops up here. And then I'm going to be looking for, I'm not going to be looking for much. I'm just going to be looking for this down here in the 95s. All right. And see what happens. I think it's going to be a slow mover. This, I got to make sure. Yeah, I'm not looking for much. I'm just looking for 95s. If it goes, it goes. Thinking about possibly adding, but I don't know if we're going to get enough mojo down under here. I was thinking about adding one down here about 97 if it gets down there. I'm going to sell another one down here, if it gets there. If it gets there, it needs to flush right kind of here and now. There she
Order
goes.
filled.
There it goes. Pull this down. We'll put these here. 'Cause I don't want this to come. I'm going to actually put this up here. Let's see if we can get another flush on this. I'm actually going to move this one right up here. I'll take that one off. At 97.
Order filled.
Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to move this down to break even because I don't want that coming back to me. I lock some in. I'm probably going to get taken out, but I don't want to sit in it because I don't have the patience. And I literally got myself back to break even. I should probably leave that stop up a little higher, but you know, if it breaks down here, we're good. And if not, so be it. And I think these 87s are a decent spot right here. Because there's a gap here. You pretty much have this down here. Let's go 89. Let's go 89. Let's see if that can, let's see if this can flush here. See if we get some sellers in here. It's got to break those 93s. Breaks that 93. It should flush down. Otherwise, likely not. What did we get to? We got down to 93s. Slow go, though. That's for sure. It's just that time of the day. We are coming on 8 o'clock. Or we can take out those 93s, we should be in good shape. Let's focus in again. Just doesn't want to break those down there. It seems to be they seem to be finding some buyers down there. Not liking it. Not liking it at all. It's not breaking down. In fact, it's actually starting to find some support here. Yeah. I think my stop is in the right place, though. Yeah, it's got to break down here, though. That's for sure. That's for sure. You know, and it's actually even got me thinking that if we break down there, possibly we actually even fall further. So we'll move that down. See if we can maybe swing this down to those lows. There it goes. Let's go. One more, and it's got to break that 93. If it breaks those 93s, it should just drop. Should. In fact, it keeps stalling right here is kind of the issue. But slow as it goes. Did we quite? No, we didn't. We tagged those 93s again. We definitely tagged those 93s again. Let's see if we can smash it. Oh, there we go. Let's see, we got to 92. See if we can really. Oh, God,
Order
there
filled.
goes 8 o'clock. 7:57. Look at this. Holy shit. That's why you use a stop, folks. That's why you use a stop. Look at that. Oh, my God. Look at that reversal. Holy Christ. Yo. That's so funny. And this has to do with the gold opens at 8 o'clock, and that is definitely like a little bit of an early kind of start, 7:58. But hey, you know what? I got myself back in the green. I was down. And but you know what? I've been doing small trades like this in this account, and it's been working. So there you go. Did a little bit of live action. Wish it was a little bit better than that, but hey, that's why you use a stop, right? Because if I didn't use a stop here, now I'd be eating this, and I'd be actually like sitting in a loss, praying for this to go down. And I hate that shit, man. To me, I'd be like, you know what? So anyway, there you have. Where were we? NASDAQ. I think NASDAQ, if you're looking at possible spots down here, we have, I'm going to go ahead and mark the 25,627s. Good reversal area there. That's really all. I mean, I don't know if I'd really have the intestinal fortitude to short this market if it gets on a run. I mean, again, you have R3 up here at 26,053. I don't know if I really have it. I don't know. It would take a lot for me to try and short this. And it's my guess here that gold probably just did a reversal too, I bet. I bet you it just ran up, and I bet you it just did a reversal. Yep, it sure the fuck did. It literally came up to those old swing highs where we got engaged, and it literally got damn near well close to it and almost retraced that whole almost retraced that entire move. And so there you have it. And that's the way gold rolls, though, man. Gold is a mess. So anyway, yeah. So that's probably about it. You know, all the indexes are going to be about the same with the Russell. I think the Russell is going to be, again, a little easier to trade. But the levels in the Russell are, I don't know if they're very achievable today. You know, because if I'm a buyer in the Russell, I'm looking at S2, S1, and the way it's trading now, that's a long way off. That's 100 points away, and I don't really know if that's achievable today. So that's why I'm not even really looking at those. The only real entry point that I see on the Russell that you could possibly get on a long is somewhere down here near 2653. That again is 50 points away. I don't know. Do you take the 2690 or 89 here? That's really the only thing. If we go to a 5-minute, 2690s come up. 2690s, and it's more like 2691. So those are really the only areas that I see that have any potential. I mean, if you want to get aggressive, you could try and use the top of this last swing high, 2698. I just don't know if they're very strong points of entry because we are so far gone. You know, again, we are probably due for a pretty decent, I would say, retrace before we go higher. I mean, maybe that's not a bad area, but I would prefer to see us dip below 2700 and look for stuff down there. But the thing is you're going to have to watch the tape because there's no real, I don't know, to me there's no real price action there that's going to represent any kind of reversal. Any of these can represent a reversal because, look, it's been like one straight shoot, 5 minute after 5 minutes. So anyway, that's kind of the gist of all I have. I'm getting a little bit of my face ripped off when it comes to NBIS. NBIS is kind of, I mean, it's not completely ripping my face off. I mean, I took a $100 loss in NBIS because it had such a great day yesterday. So I had to blow out of my calls. and those didn't work. So yeah, I'll eat the porridge today to you bulls on NBIS. You got it right. Hallelujah for you. Good, congratulations, and good for you. I'm still short puts. I did roll up my puts. That's why I did both sides. So I am still in this, and I am now technically bullish. Not that I wanted to be, but I am just because of the price action. And I sold I don't know what I sold. I don't remember. Let me see. I don't remember. I don't recall. Let me log in, and so I don't show everybody in the world what my login information is. That's if it even starts. This Tasty Trade app has really been a piece of fucking junk. And I hope you're listening, Tasty Trade, because your application, honestly, the build quality has just been garbage. Garbage. That's what you get when you price. That's what you get when you price development out to the cheapest bidder. And that is definitely what this is. This has written in it, you have maybe 10 developers stateside that are managing the project, and you just farm this fucking out to the cheapest fucking dudes you can find. There's no doubt in my mind that that's what this is. All right, anywho. Let's take a look at NBIS, because it is one of my losers, yeah. So yeah, I rolled up to the, as you remember, I was in the where was I? I was in the 100. I had sold the 195s, or actually no, there was the 85. Yeah, it was the 90 85s. I rolled up to the 120, 125 puts. Okay, and so, and I did take a loss, and it sucked for about 10 seconds, and then I moved on. I still like those trades, though, in NBIS, because the volatility rank in here is still pretty high. And I'm telling everybody to caution and be leery of this. But to me, the play in here is to still sell these ranges, because I've been selling these ranges in NBIS forever. And a one standard deviation let's do a one standard deviation iron condor in June puts me out to 210. They're $10 wide up there, which sucks. That means I have to do $10 wide here. But still, I'm able to pull in 260 with a 72% pop on this, playing this range in a completely risk-defying trade, right? Again, what I'm always talking about here with these trades is make sure you're risk-defined. And you're in something manageable. Now, I can actually absorb selling calls up here, because I'm already short puts as well, right? So overall, I'm net bullish here. My net is probably skewed bullish because I'm already short some puts in May. All right, and so, and I still like these trades because, look, this is not going to go up forever. This is not going to go up forever. Look, I know it's having a good, it's having a good run here, but it had a good run a few other times, and those last few other times it imploded. And they have earnings coming up on the, let's see, it looks like April 26th. So they have earnings coming up as well, and that's going to be a big impact on the stocks. I mean, it might be sell the news type of thing. But again, who knows? Again, it's on a run. I'm not going to deny anything. All of these stocks have actually, surged over this time. So, it is what it is. So I'm still playing this one that way. I've been playing it this way since I've been trading it. Some good, some bad, but overall, I've made money doing this. So I'm going to continue doing it. So anyway, still have that. As I said, I still it's still like CCJ here as well. I like that bullish. And if you're going to do anything in CCJ, I'm actually going to just go and send this one off just so I have it saved. But CCJ, I'm already in an Iron Condor here. I actually like I like a calendar spread in here. So you go ahead and buy the June, buy like a 115 and sell the May 120. All right, I actually like that trade. This is what this one looks like. Right now, this is skewed off here because I already have a position in here, and the way this works is this calculates based on your position. So, but this would be kind of your trajectory, anything up and above 117, about where it is now. So it's almost like you're buying it now, but you basically have that trajectory. And then the other thing is you're kind of selling a little bit of short term on the May side. That's why I like the calendar spread. And you're getting yourself about 8 deltas. All right, and so that's all I got. It's 10 after 8. We did a lot. We did a couple live trades. We took a stop out, and we took another trade. So we actually lost $25 and made $40. So I'm net $8 or $10. So plus commish. So it wasn't bad there. Talked about some markets, talked about having sex in the office, and there you have it. And markets seem to have turned around, and that's likely why gold just ripped. But still, it's still sitting around 47.95, so it's still kind of at and around where we were when we were short through this whole business here. So again, I would actually point this out too. Look, I'm overall sentiment on gold is bullish, but I'm not going to look at the price action and ignore it and say, yeah, I'm going to be bullish and I'm going to be pigheaded about it. Look, if this short opportunity setting up, and it obviously to me looks like it is, because look here, you have. It is the trend today is, even though we're up, the trend today since about 1 o'clock this morning has been down in gold. And I'm not going to ignore that. Now, if it gets back down here, back in these 47.80s, I'm going to probably start looking to buy it. All right. So anyway, that's all I got. Have a good trading.